Hello, hello, and welcome back to Mother Nature's Intern. I'm Crystal Sweet, and this is episode 2. Today, we're going to talk about two things. I'll be providing a couple updates about some things on the spiritual front with me, and then we are going to talk about spiritual hygiene. And for full transparency, I am learning about spiritual hygiene with you by having Mother Nature's intern meaning learning. We are learning together. So as I discover new things and try them out, I hope that you feel invited or called to try out one of these practices or things that we talk about yourself. So let's learn together as interns. Okay, so on the spiritual front for me lately, kind of cool thing happened to me a few weeks ago. You hear about people having visions. I had never had visions before, and I feel like the visions are coming, and it's kind of cool. It's not like what they see on TV where you just stop in your tracks and you see this thing happen before you or in your mind. My visions have been more coming by way of times where I'm peacefully in bed before bedtime, or relaxing. I don't quite have my chops up yet with meditating, although I have meditated before, but I do know that that is a way of receiving messages or visions. So the other night, I was thinking about wanting to go back to New Orleans. Some years back, my husband and I went to New Orleans for our anniversary trip, and it was so cool. It was exactly what I was hoping it would be and more. I really love New Orleans, and it feels like it calls to me in a way. And I feel like it is just as spooky and eerie as people talk about if you haven't been. We went on a ghost tour, which of course, why would we not go on a ghost tour? And I feel like it really made things come alive for that city, and walking through the French Quarter and so forth, you can feel it in the air. And haven't been back again for maybe 4 or 5 years. And so I'm definitely ready to go back, but for some reason it was on my mind. And one thing that overall that I've noticed in my spiritual journey in the years that I've been alive, I'm very, I'll just say scared to see or experience something scary. And I have been really, I would say, fortunate to not have anything really creepy happening where I'm like, there, spirituality is light and dark and all things in between. So I know people who have gone to New Orleans, not personally, but I've heard stories about folks being there and having encounters with vampires. And yes, I believe in vampires, and all kind of things that city has. That city is very alive and also very dead. And so I was thinking about, ooh, like what if I go there again and like something attaches to me, or I have like negative energy, or I have like, a scary encounter. Because again, you can feel it really palpably when you're walking through the streets, particularly at night. And I all of a sudden had the clearest, randomest vision in my head of me with like a carved, almost standing tomb around me, or like a coffin, like a standing coffin, but it was like circular, and it was very handcrafted, very beautiful. It was made of wood, but it was also made of something protective. And I understood it as I, in a previous life, had put some sort of protective barrier, maybe even literally a physical barrier at some point to protect myself from like really dark negativity. And don't get me wrong, I am not a fool in thinking that I am not going to, or I couldn't see something dark. If you call upon something enough, you're gonna get it, because that's how powerful we are. We conjure the energy, which is why today we're talking about spiritual hygiene. Anyway, I promise you, this covering or this box or this protective barrier that I saw was so clear, and it was so obvious that at some point, I don't know, by way of a spell or some sort of ritual, I created this thing around me, and I interpret it as I put some sort of protective barrier around me, and it is working so far. But again, I don't know. So that was really trippy. I've never seen anything like that, and it was very specific. And also too, in my, I take a spiritual class in a group called Love Society, again with Leah Lovely. And in that class, one day we were talking really more specifically about dreams, and documenting dreams, and also meditation in another class. And I feel like it's been really helpful for me, because I feel like even though I'm nowhere near, I'm like preschool, if not baby level with meditation, um, I feel like since the class, I am much more aware of just being present and allowing my mind to wander to wherever it is. And I feel like I'm just more open spiritually, especially they're like, it's like spiritual growth, spiritual upgrade. And we all experience them if we're open to it, as we continue to learn and continue to step into what feels right and safe for us. Anyway, make a long story short, I feel like I'm seeing things way clearer and really just not like, dismissing it. I get a lot of visions of me being in water, like ocean. The ocean has also been kind of a scary place to me. Like, I'm in awe of the ocean, but being in the ocean sounds terrifying, because there's literally life forms that we've never even discovered as human beings, and we are just part of the food chain in the ocean. That's not our, or at least that's not my home. Obviously, indigenous islander cultures have a much more connected element with water. But I feel like some of the messaging I'm getting from my spirit guides is don't be afraid of water, don't be afraid of the ocean, and still exploring that. And the last thing on the spiritual front for myself is that I have been doing a much better job of writing down whatever it is that I get from dreams. People that I know have had always been really vivid dreamers. My mom is a very vivid dreamer. She's had a lot of amazing spiritual dreams, and I've had a few, but compared to other people, like, of course, comparison is not good, but I always long and have even prayed about opening up my dream space so that I can have more connection with my ancestors, with my spirit guides. And we know that when we're sleeping, our body is sleeping, but our spirit is wide awake. Hence, understanding astral projections and all of that magical thing that I have not done. It's something that I know is very challenging to master. Anyway, if anybody is discouraged, like I have been over the years, about understanding dreams and about even remembering what your dreams are, because mine have always been very innocuous. Like, they're just like, oh, I'm at work today and I forgot my hat or something, silly. I feel like I got some really good advice from members on our Love Society to write down, even if it's a small detail, just write it down. So I have been doing that. And although none of the things that I've written down thus far seem to really resonate, or like really I don't understand what it is, I think that it is a helpful practice of awareness. And just like, maybe I will get better at, I feel like I'm remembering my dreams better, and making more of a concerted effort. So more to come on that. So dream sphere is opening up. I'm being more intentional. I am having clearer visions, which is really cool, and trying to understand them, but they feel very palpable. And the thing about the protection against kind of darkness with whatever that wooden carving thing around me was like, whoa, what is that? But it's so real. So anyway, exciting. I hope that you've had some exciting new things happen for you as you continue to step into your spiritual exploration. So with that, we're going to transition over to spiritual hygiene. So spiritual hygiene is not something that I have spent a lot of time studying or fully understand, but once I read through about what spiritual hygiene was, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to read a definition of what spiritual hygiene is so we can level set and talk about some ways that we can really make sure that we are balanced with more positive energy than negative energy. Life is hard. We're humans. We're in the third density, which is a very dense energy field, which is why it is miserable a lot of the time on Earth. But there's also lovely, awesome moments in love and all of the things that make us keep coming back to this Earth life experience. So again, As a novice to spiritual hygiene, I think that it's important for me to continue to step into utilizing spiritual hygiene, and these are the reasons why. So, spiritual hygiene refers to regular practices an individual uses to maintain their spiritual, mental, and energetic well being. And I didn't know that. Spiritual, I got that. I didn't know it also had to do with mental and energetic well being. Similar to how physical hygiene maintains the bodily health. And I'm really good about going to the doctor, so okay, might as well make sure I'm good all the way through. It involves activities such as prayer, meditation, cultivating positive thoughts, managing emotions, setting energetic boundaries. I didn't know that. Engaging in acts of kindness or service. Also, wow, how cool is that? The goal of spiritual hygiene is to cleanse negative energies, foster a positive inner environment, all up in here, and cultivate a deeper connection to oneself and any higher power, source, God, Jesus, whatever it is that you call it. We are all a part of it, leading to increased well-being, clarity, and purpose. And boy, do we need a purpose nowadays, again, with crazy world. Practices of spiritual hygiene. So I'm going to go through and just give some examples of what they are. Again, I learned something and I'm learning with you. Okay, mindfulness and introspection. This is one of the ways to promote the spiritual hygiene. Practices like meditation, journaling, and yoga help to become aware and to help process thoughts and feelings. In terms of this meditation, like I said, I am a baby in that process, but I'm getting a little better. Journaling, got to step my game up there. And then yoga, I enjoy yoga for just the stretching and so forth. And so I think that it's really good to stay connected to your body that way. Energy cleansing. This can involve techniques such as smudging with sage, taking bath salts, or taking salt baths, or using sound healing to clear negative energies. But before we go on to the next one, I am going to go on a little tangent about sage and smudging. So there was a period of time, 2020 was a really big spiritual awakening time. I know for me, I stepped further into my awakening, and a lot of people did. And during this time, I started to understand like, oh, using sage to clear the energy field in a space is a very effective way to move the energy around. But I didn't have very much education about the origin of smudging as well as the harvesting of sage. So sage is used by various Native American tribes in the practice of smudging, which is a spiritual ceremony that involves burning dried herbs like white sage, cedar, or sweetgrass to create smoke intended to purify spaces, objects, or individuals by clearing the negative energy. And so with this, it's really important to understand that this is not originating from white people. This is from certain Native American tribes, and it is something that should be respected. Therefore, using the term smudging is a no-no. We always want to continue to evolve our understanding of the origin of different spiritual practices. And so we're not going to use the term smudging, especially if we are not of that indigenous group and it is not of our own people. So a better term to use is smoke cleansing. And also too, sage is a depleted resource right now because you've got tons of people, especially white people, especially within capitalist United States, that are seeing that sage is very popular among the masses as they're using that for this practice. And this then depletes accessibility to Native American people to be able to have this resource for their ceremonies that they've been having for thousands of years. So there are alternatives to buying sage. I have not bought sage in years. Once I first heard that, I was like, I don't want to be a part of the problem. And again, there's a sustainability on an environmental level as well. So also didn't know this because I had heard a couple years ago that Palo Santo was supposed to be the better alternative. And according to what I read today, nah, not Palo Santo either. So I'm not going to buy that. But there are other things that you can do to cleanse a space. Again, energy cleansing is the category that we're on right now. So there's other things that you can use, and again, the term is smoke cleansing. You can use rosemary. It's excellent for protection and easy to grow at home. Rosemary smells good. Garden sage, salvia. Oh, don't have me do the science name of this. So we're just going to abandon ship right there. Anyway, unlike white sage, it's common garden sage, and it's not endangered, and it can be used for smoke cleansing. Also, mugwort apparently is supposed to smell like sage, can also be harvested ethically. Lavender. I live in Washington State, and we have the Lavender Festival every year in Swim that I have never been to yet, but I gotta go in the next year. That is another thing that you can buy by the bundle and burn. Cedar and juniper, and herbs from your own garden. Let's see, anything that's aromatic, sustainable in your garden. But if you don't have any of those things, there's always alternatives. That's the beauty of spirituality and intentional practice, using the word intentional, because when we use a tool, it's not about necessarily always what the tool is, it's the intention behind it. So if you don't have any of those things, right? I don't grow any of that in my backyard. We have a dirt pile in the backyard until we get our grass fixed. 2 cents on that. Just kidding. Okay. So you could also do a sound cleansing, so sound baths. I have yet to attend a sound bath, but it's always been something that I've wanted to do and or learn more about. Sound is a very healing method that has been used since before we knew existence even existed. Essential oil sprays, like essential oils like lavender, physical cleansing like decluttering or cleaning up. That might be one of my favorites, because stuff, when things are too cluttered, it makes me feel very anxious and stressed out. So for myself, cleansing or getting rid of things that no longer bring joy to my life and or are in excess, I love to get rid of things. So that is another way of cleansing. And then intention and visualization, as well as salt. Visualization, don't ever sleep on visualization. That's my big thing right now. And I've been even saying that to my kids as they are learning and excelling in their sports activities. When you visualize yourself doing something in the affirmative, something that you want to do, whether you want to learn or, I don't know, even have a conversation with somebody that might be a hard conversation, visualizing yourself doing it in a positive way, whether, where you're having success and doing that over and over again, you are creating intention. You are using your thoughts and your mental visualization to make it come to a reality. So that is definitely a way that you can do a cleansing. Let's see. Again, even salt and candles. Burning a white candle is a great way to cleanse the energy. Okay, so what are some other things that you can do to promote your spiritual hygiene? Nurturing positive states. Again, I wasn't familiar with this one because I was thinking kind of only in one terms of like protecting yourself from scary energy or negative energy. So this one is prayer or gratitude, engaging in acts of kindness. How beautiful is that, especially right now when we're pitted against each other for no reason, for the ruling class, for the billionaires to have more control. Seeking stillness to cultivate an inner state. I feel like something that I have really done a good job of in the last probably, 10 years is gratitude sessions. And it works so good. I am so grateful for my life. And I tell the universe almost every day, especially in times where things feel hard, how grateful I am. And I name the specifics and I go down a list, and it is literally like an antidepressant in terms of when you're feeling really heavy. So I really promote acts of gratitude, and also, again, acts of kindness. Just like the little things, like holding a door open, helping somebody pick something off the ground. These are strangers, and it's just like that butterfly effect. So that is another way to promote spiritual hygiene. Setting boundaries. Ooh, this one is challenging for me. As a people pleaser, as somebody who has worked a lot in customer service in my previous jobs, this is something that is challenging to me. And I'm also a middle child and a keep the peacer. And I'm also, she, her pronouns woman. And so I feel like society definitely promotes you to be a certain way. And I am definitely been molded in that way. So setting boundaries is really been difficult, but I have made a much more intentional approach to doing that. Because if you think about it, when you set boundaries with your friends, your loved ones, with your job, with whomever, not only are you having conviction about what you will and won't tolerate, which allows you to be much happier and not have to endure. Yeah, we have to endure certain things in life, but to have to endure behaviors or acts from people that you could literally just tell them like, no, like that's not cool with me. That is setting a boundary and you're protecting yourself. So yes, setting boundaries. I think that is a fantastic example. Okay, next one, connecting with nature. You see a lot online, like, oh, that person's crashing out, like they need to touch some grass. But side note, I'm anti-grass. I'm all about natural backyards. Back to my dirt pile in the backyard. But natural yards, because it, again, brings all the bugs to the yard and all the things that make this earth beautiful. So anyway, that was a little side tangent. Spending time in nature helps you ground and balance your energetic self. I learned to practice a few years ago where, again, using visualization when I want to ground and when I need to ground, which is often, I literally picture myself with my feet planted on the ground, and I picture tree roots coming from the bottom of my feet, going into the earth, going deep, 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 deep down, and always goes to the core of the earth. And then I imagine the energy coming up from the earth, going up through the tree roots, up through my feet and into my body. And it is such an amazing visualization for grounding and, connecting with nature. We talked a little bit about decluttering energetic spaces. A reminder, if it is that you do have an ancestral altar, I finally have one as of a couple years ago, and I love it. And it is like a happy corner of my home. But even your altar needs to be decluttered. Doing an audit of what is on your altar. I have pictures of my loved ones that have departed, and periodically I need to assess whether or not, like, do all these crystals make sense? Is there a certain food or offering that is on my altar that needs to be thrown away? Like, it's old, it's stale, the water on there, all the things that need to go. Cleaning that, dusting it, dusting off your photos. It's little things like that. That small act declutters and it purifies. Self-care. So this is another category. Things like getting enough sleep, eating well, what you eat. You are a living thing, just like plants are a living thing. We're all living things and we're all interconnected. So when we eat well, we feel better, our body functions better. And then enjoying joyous activities, laughing, dancing. For me, music, like I mentioned in my first episode, is just such a freeing activity, and I feel so joyful, and I am one of the happiest people on earth when I am dancing or eating, or a combination of both. So dancing, being free, having fun, laughing, that is just all of those things. So spiritual hygiene, why do we do this? We do this because we want to improve our emotional and mental health. Again, life is very hard in this third density. We have to do anything. We have to seek joy. We have to seek these opportunities for us to feel good within ourselves. And that should be a priority, because when we feel good, we reverberate high energy, and that is infectious with other people in a good way. Let's see. You have a deeper connection to spirit. Again, in some of these very micro things that I have done to step into more specific spiritual growth. Like I said, writing a little detail, whatever it is that I remember from a dream, allowing myself to trust the visions that I'm having as real, not just like, oh, that's just your brain, throwing up random images. I don't know about you, but I remember being a kid. I also could see stuff when I would close my eyes, but I would dismiss it, because we are taught to detach from trusting ourselves. It is all by design, but I trust myself, and I hope that you continue to trust yourself. And I have growth there, and I'm sure that you have growth there too, but trust yourself, because then you can make the best decisions for yourself and for your loved ones and for the journey that you are on here in this incarnation. So yes, those are the benefits. Those are the ways that you can maintain your spiritual hygiene, your mental hygiene, your physical hygiene. It is all interconnected. And I hope that one of these practices is something that you will step into in the coming week, in the coming days, and just know that we are all learning together. We are all collectively waking up to our own inner power, to our own inner strength. And again, I keep saying this, but we literally are interconnected to every single thing, even the rocks, even the dirt. And when we understand that, we will take care of ourselves better. We will take care of the earth better, be good stewards to Mother Earth and Mother Gaia. And I wish you a wonderful day or evening whenever you're watching this. And I look forward to talking with and learning with you in the near future. Have a good night. Bye.